Hey all, Bree from the No Guilt Mom podcast, and I have got a gift for you this holiday season. If you love the No Guilt Mom podcast, and I mean love the No Guilt Mom podcast, then tell us about it. Leave us a review, and you can be entered to win a No Guilt Mom gift card. All you have to do is leave a review, take a screenshot, and then simply go to noguiltmom.com/review to enter our giveaway for a free No Guilt Mom gift card, simply for telling us what you think about the podcast. It is amazing. But don't delay. Get right on this, as we're going to be giving away that No Guilt Mom gift card on December 21st. So get right on over and visit noguiltmom.com/review.
Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I am your host, Joanne Crone, joined here by my co-host, Bree Tucker.
Well, hello, everybody. How are you?
We have an exciting week this week. Calm and Happy Parenting, our parenting course. It's launch week.
Woo!
If you don't know what that is, it means that we only have it open like a few weeks a year, and this is one of them.
Yes, and this is one of our things that we are like super proud of.
Calm and Happy Parenting is one of those, like, if you've been stressed about parenting or any way that you have been raising your kid, and like you've tried the behavior charts, you've tried the punishments and the consequences, or you've heard about consequences and you're like, I have no idea like how that's different from what I'm doing. Calm and Happy Parenting takes you through a 5-step process where not only will you realize that your kids like actually react better to you and behave better, but you're going to develop a closer relationship with them.
Yes, and you know what else is going to come from that relationship and all of that listening? Your children are going to be able to take on the initiative of things. You're going to be amazed by the things that your kids are able to do without you having to nag, without you having to remind or even take over the task yourself.
The parents in our course so far have said like it has been such a huge change in their homes. They feel calmer. They feel happier. That's Calm and Happy Parenting. It's really the name describes it all.
Yeah, hence the title.
Yes. Yeah, so we have a link for you in the show notes. Come join us in it. You get personalized attention from me and Bree, especially if you join our VIP coaching program, Balance.
Yes.
Which is our favorite part ever. We are recording this podcast episode, and we just got off of a special session in Balance with Dr. Michelle Borba, the author of Thrivers and Unselfie, and was it 70 other books? Or it's some,
she has quite a few. She has 26 books. She's a Today Show parenting contributor. I mean, there isn't anything that Dr. Michelle Borba hasn't done. And and you know what? And she is phenomenal. We love her. Can't say enough good things about Michelle.
We love her. And the cool thing about Balance is that all of our Balance members get to meet all of these guests we have on the podcast. They come and do special sessions for Balance, and it's just fun. And you get kind of like the inside track. I really like having the inside track. Like
I do. And you know what else I really like about it? It gives everybody a connection, and you get to meet other like-minded moms that are doing the same thing you're doing and going with the same goal you're going for.
So today's podcast episode, we're talking all about how to raise strong kids. Calm and Happy Parenting is part of that, but we are also going to be giving you 3 tips that you can use right away to raise strong kids. And we hope you enjoy this episode of the No Guilt Mom podcast. We talk a lot here on the No Guilt Mom podcast about how our entire family pitches in to make dinner one night per week.
Yes. And I'll tell you this, like in my household, it's always been a struggle trying to get the kids to figure out what they're going to cook.
Oh my gosh. It's like grilled cheese tomato soup every night, which is why right? I'm so excited about Cozy, because Cozy has recipes right in the app. Cozy, if you haven't heard of it, it's the #1 organizing app that families use to juggle school schedules, practices, meetings, doctor's appointments, and even a workout or date night. But they also have recipes, Bree.
I was going to say, now it helps you with dinner time, and your kids can come up with something without you having to find it. And those recipes are simple and delicious. I was amazed to see all the things that Cozy can do.
So you can use Cozy, or your kids can use Cozy, to discover new recipes inside the app. And then you could save recipes from across the web and meal plan for the entire week. Just download Cozy from the App Store, that's COZI, and get the free app today.
You want mom life to be easier. That's our goal too. Our mission is to raise more self-sufficient and independent kids, and we're going to have fun doing it. We're going to help you delegate and step back. Each episode will tackle strategies for positive discipline, making our kids more responsible and making our lives better in the process. Welcome to the No Guilt Mom Podcast.
Okay, so pandemic, been the last year and a half.
Yeah.
Been hard.
It's been crazy. And I found this image today when I was scrolling through my social media. Today, parents posted an image about the last time our kids had a normal school year.
Yeah.
And it was a bit of a slap in the face. So like when I saw this, it really brought up some emotions with me. My oldest is in 8th grade. And by looking at this chart, the last time she had a completely normal school year was in 5th grade.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
That is insane. And when you think about things, like when you think about stability and things that teach our children about consistency, school is one of them, right? I mean, from kindergarten all the way through high school, your kids have school almost every day for the majority of the year.
It is the routine, yeah. And having a routine helps kids feel grounded and feel like they are safe. And supported. And if there's one thing that this pandemic has done, it has taken away kind of a little bit of our safety.
Right. And it's made
safety,
it,
yeah.
And so like our kids are feeling a lot, and not even just our kids, us as parents too. Yeah. We're feeling a lot more anxiety. We're not sure what's going to happen next around the corner, which kind of leads us into why we need to have that emotional stability.
Yes.
And resilience.
It's as important for parents as it is for kids, because I don't know about you, but I look at all the news articles and I get completely stressed out. Like if you're listening to us right now, like read these scary things about like how our kids haven't had a normal school year and you feel like that tightening in your chest.
Oh yeah. That
like
nausea
you can't
bubbling up.
Like, no, we are there too. And we are going to flip the script and give you some positive things that you can do to make things better, because that's really all we can do. We can just take like little steps each day to be a little better, to make things better, and also to acknowledge all the things we do already and all of our wins. So this is meant to motivate you. It is meant to put in some positivity in your life, and we're going to get into it.
Right. Because there are tons and tons of things that you can do to build your emotional resilience, but we've narrowed it down to 3 simple things.
3 things that you could do
easy.
Right away.
Yeah,
right away.
And you're going to see immediate feedback from this. It's going to be phenomenal.
And you know what? The 3 things, most of them are not things you have to do, but things you need to stop doing.
I know. Isn't that great? So we're not even telling, we're giving you 3 things to take off your plate that are going to give you positive results for emotional resilience for everybody in your household.
Yes. Let's go straight into number 1. Okay. What's number 1, Brie?
Number 1 is one of my personal favorites. And kind of get started with one of our great friends, Jessica Leahy, wrote a book about it.
The Gift of Failure.
The Gift of Failure. So our number 1 tip is you got to let your kids fail.
Let them fail. You get a fail and you get a no. It doesn't go like that. It doesn't go like that, because we see failure sometimes as something that should be avoided. And I think we see that in our own lives too. I mean, I know that I personally get stressed out if like a work project is going wrong or like something is like going crazy in the business. I take that and I'm like, oh, I'm such a failure. And we need to flip that because failure is how you build resiliency. You can't be emotionally strong if you have had it easy. Like it's just impossible.
Yeah. And I think one of the big things about the importance of failing is that we as parents, we try to make sure that our kids don't fail. We don't want them to feel like, we don't want them to feel embarrassed. We don't want them to feel upset. We don't want to have them struggle. And that is true. As parents, we need to make sure that they're not having the epic failures that could like completely break them for the rest of their life.
Well, let's talk about epic failures.
Okay.
So like, what is considered an epic failure, do you think? My son is playing a game right now on his computer where he's a thief and the cops are after him. So I'm so excited about this new app, Give As We Grow, where instead of being the quote unquote bad guys, kids are practicing giving back.
That is so cool, Joanne. I really wish that there was something like this when my kids were younger that got them excited about giving back to others and helped them build a better understanding of what it really means to volunteer.
Give As We Grow is the first of its kind free educational mobile app for children ages 8 to 11 that teaches kids via fun, service-focused mini-game quests to tap into their unique talents and interests to help others.
And did you know that studies show that there is a biological connection between generosity and happiness, and that volunteering improves people's physical and mental health? I mean, kids who volunteer typically do better in school and are less likely to engage in risky behaviors. And that is something that I think we all want for our kids.
Ready to spark a new movement in generosity? Find and download Give As We Grow for free in the App Store for Android and iOS. And for resources for the whole family, visit giveaswegrow.org.
Hey all, Bree here, and I wanted to share one of my favorite gifts to give during the holiday season, a Storyworth book. It is the most amazing gift ever. Storyworth is an online service that lets you create a special and unique gift of someone's story. I've given Storyworth books to both of my parents, and it has been their favorite gift, hands down. And did I mention it is so easy? Storyworth emailed my parents questions every week that I handpicked from their massive list of questions that they have. All my parents had to do was open their email and answer them. That easy. I asked my dad questions like, did you have any rules that you set for yourself as a parent, which you immediately broke? And he did. I even asked both of my parents, are you more like your mom or your dad? And they shared a lot of really amazing qualities that I didn't know about my grandparents at the time. Then at the end of the year, Storyworth compiles all of their answers, puts them into this gorgeous book that covers everything. My parents love showing us their books, and I personally love getting a chance to read them. With Storyworth, I am giving those I love a thoughtful and personal gift from the heart that preserves their memories and stories for years to come. Go to storyworth.com/NGM and save $10 on your first purchase. That's storyworth.com/NGM to save $10 on your first purchase.
Like, I would think running into the street would be
Yes.
like not looking for oncoming cars would be
Yes.
an epic failure that you would be okay
Being hit by a
avoiding.
car
Yes.
and losing your ability to walk, run, play. Yes, that's an epic failure. But
Yes.
let's pick on one that I think a lot of us moms freak out about. Your kid won't take a bath. I'm serious.
I don't freak out about that one. That's why I laugh.
Okay, well, but you do know from our time
I
speaking
do
with other
know,
moms that
yes.
this is a common freak out a lot of us parents have, because we're like, oh my gosh, if my kid doesn't bathe, he's going to get to school and he's going to get to school and he's going to become the smelly kid, and then he's going to be labeled the smelly kid, and then everybody's going to make fun of him, and he's going to end up failing school and living in a van down by the river.
Yeah, I think
that
that
doesn't
is a
happen.
fear thing. It doesn't happen. It's so funny though that you bring that up, because like my kids don't bathe that much. My daughter does. She's in middle school and she really is conscious about how oily her hair gets now. But my son, we're like, okay, when's the last time you take a bath? And he just stares at us. We're like, that means it's bath time, because you can't even remember.
Okay, I think that brings up a phenomenal point. And I have a little bit of background story on this one too that I found recently. So again, the bathing came up because we've had this discussion. It popped up in one of our coaching groups. And it's also, I see it all the time on the internet.
In Balance, our coaching group. Yeah.
Yes. And recently, Ashton Kutcher and his wife got a little bit heckled.
Yeah.
Because they admitted that they don't bathe their kids every single day. And because of that, Ashton Kutcher was at an event and sports fans actually were heckling him and booing him and yelling out, take a shower, while he was trying to talk about a charity group he works with. I'm very upset about that. But let's back this up a little bit. It all came out because there was an article where they talked about how they don't bathe their kids every day. And the backlash was a lot. A lot of people were like, are you kidding me? But the interesting fact is that really, you don't need to. Like the American, so like the American Academy of Dermatology actually says that 6-year-olds to 11-year-olds only need to bathe once a week.
Yes, we are on the right track in my house then.
See? Like, and then how many of us though think that our kid is supposed to take a bath every single day? Now, if your kid has mud crusted on him,
yeah.
I'd say give him a bath.
If there's visible dirt, I'm like, yes, definitely take a bath. But
Right?
if it's like a precautionary thing, being like, oh, there might be germs on you, no, I think that's going too far.
Or you know what? If your kid has a little bit of greasy hair,
Yeah.
let them go to school. Let them deal with the natural consequences of it, which there may be some and there may be none.
Yeah, and it's a tricky issue too with bathing, because first of all, like, I was recently made aware that bathing is a bit of a privilege issue.
It is.
Because like we, especially, it is a white privilege issue, because we have never had to worry about us being termed as dirty, basically. And that is something that I know, talking with many people, that like it's a problem. Like, they can't take the same laissez-faire. How do you say that? Laissez-faire. They can't be as relaxed about it as we can. Like,
right. Well, and that even can go to so many different aspects. Like,
Yes.
I have to wear a lot of deodorant, girl.
Yeah.
Because, like, I can have that. Bree needs to bathe a lot because of that. Like, and some people have that, like, where you're just like, okay, I stink, I sweat, I stink, I need to take a shower. And not everybody has that, but you're right that when it comes to a lot of Caucasian individuals, they don't struggle with that as much.
they don't struggle with it. And notice like how hard I have. Like I have a really hard issue. I'm very, very uncomfortable talking about race. This is something we actually dive into in a podcast episode with Dr. Tracy Baxley. But it's something that we need to be aware of because we have a privilege when it comes to bathing that we could say like, oh, you know what? Our kids don't have to bathe because they're not going to be judged as harshly. Like, and I'm speaking that as a white woman, like my kids don't have to bathe because they're not going to be judged as harshly. Whereas if I was talking to a black mom, she would say definitely the opposite probably because she needs to prepare her kids to be judged for things that shouldn't be judged for.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So the point of this is just that, well, I think we're getting into subsections. So
We
I
are.
smell another podcast
I
coming
went
up.
on a whoop
I
squirrel
smell
with
another
the bathing.
podcast episode. But I do think that is important. Well, the bathing's a good point. Like,
Yes.
we need to let our kids experience some degree of some failures. To bring it back to our point one.
Yes.
That they need to have some degree of experiencing those failures to know how to get through that tip number 2, how to get to that next step.
How to get to that next step. Exactly. And that next step is
They need to
problem solving.
Yeah, we need to let them practice problem solving.
them
Sorry, I
practice
thought you were
problem solving.
thought you were introing me on that
okay.
one.
Da-da-da. Here we go, Brie.
No.
They need to. Ba-da.
Oh, let them practice problem
There we
solving.
go.
We just do things on the fly
We
over
did
here.
things it's okay. No one wants a polished podcast. That would be boring. That would be boring. But problem solving is such an interesting issue. And going back to the whole bathing thing, I was the smelly girl in middle school. I didn't realize the importance of bathing or wearing deodorant. Like, because you don't smell yourself until you're made aware that you smell. Like, I don't know how to explain that better.
No, I think I could say that. Yeah, like there's so many factors to it, and it
Yeah.
depends on the person too. Like I was one of those, like, growing up, I always realized that, like, each person, they kind of have their own distinct smell, right? Like I noticed that when I walked in my sister's room, it smelled a certain way because that was her room, and and it smelled like my sister. I loved her dearly, so it was just like, oh. But I mean, kids aren't always aware of that.
No, they're not aware of that. I wasn't aware of that in 7th grade. I wasn't aware of that until I heard 2 boys talking beside me in social studies, and they're like, Joanne smells. And I was mortified. Like, I ran out of that portable door. I went to the restroom, and I had deodorant in my backpack, thankfully, and I layered it on. But I was extremely ostracized in middle school because I was the smelly kid. Like, I remember a girl, Tara, behind me on the playground. You always remember. Just like talking to a friend I just made and whispering, and she got that friend to ditch me, and I became like the smelly kid all of 7th grade. It was heartbreaking. I was so alone that year. I spent probably 1 day a week. I feigned illness just so I didn't have to go to school, and it was horrible. But that was such a big part of my life because I was able to basically problem solve my way out of it. First, I wore deodorant.
Yeah, that's a big one right there.
Second, I have a very good sense of smell now. Like, I'll go in, I'll be like, what's that?
Okay, so that's a really good example right there, because that story you just told gave me anxiety while you were telling it. Broke my heart because I'm like, I wouldn't want that to happen to my kid. But are you broken for the rest of your life because of it?
No.
Did you end up in a van down by the river because of it?
No.
No,
I actually have used it to fuel my career of making sure other kids don't feel the same way I did. I mean, I had so many talks with my 5th graders about deodorant because of this, and I told them the exact reason I was having this talk because no one told me about it. No one.
That does bring us in, like, talking about that. Like, for starters, problem solving is not always easy.
No, it's painful.
It's
really
not
painful if you're doing it right.
Right? And it can get messy. And you know what else? You don't have to be blissfully happy while you're doing it. Like,
No.
I like to call it, like, you don't have to whistle while you work. It can be hard to watch your kids practice problem solving. You can see them fail 16 gazillion times. But having faith in them and giving them support and telling them, like, I know you can do this, is what's going to help them be able to continue to move through it.
This message is sponsored by Greenlight. It is so hard to raise kids who know how to manage money. Bree, right now, my kids are all about earning money for presents. My daughter wants to get presents for all of her friends, and my son is doing a Secret Santa with his friends.
Oh, I hear you. And if you're looking to raise kids that are financially responsible, we have got a lifesaver recommendation for you that you need to check out. It is Greenlight. Greenlight is a debit card and money app made for families that gives kids and teens an easy and fun way to gain financial literacy, all while giving parents peace of mind.
You can send instant money transfers, automate allowance, and even keep an eye on kids' spending with real-time notifications. Meanwhile, your kids can begin their journey towards financial autonomy by learning how to save, invest, and spend wisely.
So sign up for Greenlight today and get your first month free when you go to greenlight.com/NGM.
That's greenlight.com/NGM to try Greenlight for free. Greenlight.com/NGM. We're hitting that time of year where my brain gets so overloaded in December that I look for anything to make life easier. And I have to say, Bree, that Green Chef is one of those services.
Yes, Green Chef is there to take away the dreaded, oh my goodness, what are we going to eat for dinner tonight? You can eat clean all holiday long with over 80 weekly meal options each week, featuring things like quick and easy, protein-packed, calorie-smart, or my personal favorite, the keto options.
And you don't have to lose track of healthy eating habits during the holidays because every Green Chef customer gets a free session with one of their registered dietitians who can walk you through how to make clean eating work for you, which is very cool.
And I have to say that I have been loving their recipes lately. They put things together I have never thought of. This week, we're trying the lemon basil caper pork with sauteed cauliflower, bell peppers, almonds, and feta cheese, my favorite. Their recipes make it so easy to support my wellness goals without skipping on flavor.
For Green Chef's best deal of the year, get $250 off with code NGM250 at greenchef.com/NGM250. That's greenchef.com/NGM250. And don't forget to use that code NGM250 to get $250 off.
Green Chef, the #1 meal kit for eating well.
And something that I like to think when my kids are really struggling with something that I know that they need to do problem solving and I can't solve it themselves is I give them the emotional space. So I'm there and I hold space. And that's what I tell myself when I'm right there. I'm just holding the space where they can let everything out. And I'm the safe sounding board that they can talk to.
Okay, so what does that look like?
I'm just sitting, I'm standing there and I'm like, that's really frustrating. I would be frustrated too. I'm so sorry that happened to you. That is really sad. And doing a lot of reflective listening and naming their feelings too throughout the whole thing.
Especially when they're struggling because they don't know that feeling of frustration, feeling unmotivated, things like that.
Or you must be embarrassed or,
right?
And sharing sometimes when I felt embarrassed. I can go a little overboard on the sharing though. I asked my son because I noticed that he was tightening up every time I shared about myself. And I asked him, I'm like, does it help you at all when I share certain situations that I've been through? He's like, no. I'm like, okay. Thank you for the feedback.
He's like, it's too much, Mom. I can't process it.
It's too much. But yeah, problem solving, horribly messy sometimes, and we want to jump in and save our kids.
Yes. So here is a little bit of help we're going to give you on this problem solving section. So we were talking earlier about our Common Happy Parenting course, and this is one of the strategies that we teach in the Common Happy Parenting course. It's where you have limited involvement, but you're helping support your kids. And I love it. Joanne, you want to talk a little bit more about the whole I do, we do, you do?
Sure. It's actually a guided teaching strategy. So it comes directly from the classroom. And if I could use a big word, pedagogy. But I do, we do, you do is when it's I do. So it's you kind of talking yourself through problems. Kids need to see how you deal with your emotions and you deal with your problems. So it's one of those things where, I've heard advice where people said, hide your problems from your kids. Don't let them know you're experiencing it.
All that does is make your kids think that you don't know their struggles. Yeah. And you can't relate and there's something wrong with them.
Exactly. That they have struggles.
No.
And so a great way to practice I do, we do, you do is when you have a struggle, you're talking about it with your kids. Like right now, I'm having some struggles with anxiety where I am having a hard time not fixating on like future things happening wrongly. We're recording this right before we go to Italy, and I have a fear of planes. And so like that's keeping me up late at night. I have a fear we're going to get like a positive COVID test and not going to be able to board the plane back to the US. That's keeping me up at night.
I still keep pointing out though, you're going to get quarantined with me.
I know.
I mean, how much fun is that? Because you don't get to see me enough, right? So, and our friend Shayna. So at least you're not alone.
Yes. But it's like all these things building up. And I'm like, I tell my kids that because they actually have the same fears. Like my daughter has a little bit of fear of planes too, and anything just happening to me, which I think is pretty normal for kids to have when a parent like decides to go on a trip or go away. I never saw that growing up, by the way. My parents never went on a trip by themselves. So that's something else that I am struggling with as well. But just talking through it, saying how I'm dealing with it, saying how I'm using, positive thinking, how I'm seeing like, okay, there's all this stuff about airplanes, they're being totally safe, which they are. And all of these things that I'm using to talk myself through it. And then you can go into We Do. So whenever my kids struggle with anxiety, I'm here asking them questions. I'm like, okay, well, what helps you through it? Can you like take a deep breath? Let's do like some meditation maybe. And I don't go like da-da-da-da-da-da. That would really, really stress them out. I look for my ins with the We Do. Like if they look really stressed, I would be like, oh, I'm going to do this meditation thing. You want to do it with me? And be like really casual.
That's a really sneaky We Do, but I like it.
It's sneaky. Sometimes it has to be sneaky when kids are problem solving.
And sometimes it's really open. Sometimes, like you said, it's like, this helps me, so I'm going to do it. Would you like to learn how to do it too? And that's that We Do.
Yeah.
I know how to do the skill that you're trying to figure out. Would you like to do it with me?
Mm-hmm. My kids tend to be very resistant to any suggestions. So I have to find a way around.
It does depend on the problem. Some problems I think our kids are more open to, and some problems most kids are very closed off to. So it just kind of depends.
Yeah, if it's something like, I don't know, talking to an authority figure, like the principal about a dress code, like that's a more overt thing that I could be like, well, this really helps.
Yeah.
But if it's something anxiety that, some kids feel like they have to be completely in control all the time of their emotions, then you have to kind of sneak your way around.
But after you've done the I Do and the We Do, then
it's the You Do, and you let them do it on their own.
They have the skill set now because you offered them that support in a limited way. You weren't taking it over because, again, you showed them, you did it together, and you stepped away. I kind of look at it as like when we taught our kids to ride their bikes without their training wheels, right? Like we did not hold on to the kid's bike for the rest of their life.
Nope, we gradually let go. Right? And that's what I Do, We Do, You Do's about. And know that it doesn't go in a progressive, like straight line.
It can be messy.
It can be messy. All fans of The Good Place out there, it could be like a Jeremy Bear Me, which is just like, it's a squiggle. It's a squiggle of time in The Good Place. If you've watched The Good Place, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, let them practice problem solving.
I love that. Okay, and then our tip number 3 is one of my absolute favorites. What is tip number 3?
Teach them to recognize their feelings.
This is awesome.
It seems so simple.
But it's actually harder than you would think.
It is harder than you think because you know what? Most grown adults weren't taught how to recognize their own feelings.
No, sometimes we have to talk through it and figure it out. But I mean, also, I'm going to ask you guys, I'm going to give you a little pop quiz here. Does your child know what it means to be unmotivated? Do they know what it means to feel frustrated? Or do they know what it means to feel agitated? I'm gonna give you guys a little challenge. Go out there, talk to your kids, throw out some of those higher emotional words that are above happy, mad, sad, and see how many of them that they actually know. And if they don't know, there's something to work on.
An easy way to help them recognize their feelings is to help them name their feelings while they're experiencing them.
Yes.
Like, oh, you seem really agitated. Or they're laying on the couch, be like, oh, like, how do you feel really unmotivated today? And just working it into conversation is a great way to help them start putting those feelings to what they're actually feeling, the names to the feelings.
I know, right? We actually have a couple of really good podcasts on that. We talk about this with Jen Rade on episode 102, and then we also do talk about it in episode 106 with Marcel Waldman.
Yeah, so we have some really great resources for you on naming the feelings.
Yeah, because you can't, when we talked about this before, you can't go around your feelings.
Yeah.
You have to acknowledge them, go through them so that you can figure out how to get past them. And the other thing too, I think for our kids, if you kind of reflect back to when you were younger, I think about being bored when I was a kid, right? And I remember when I was bored over the weekend, it felt like this was never going to end. Boredom was, oh my gosh, this weekend is so long.
Yeah.
And it's raining outside and there's nothing. I'm never going to get past this feeling of boredom. But you do.
You do.
Right? And as adults, we know we're going to get past it. We know that at most this is going to last like one more day and I'll be able to move through it and something else is going to come up. But our kids don't have that foresight yet. So sometimes also reminding them, like, I know that you're feeling bored right now. I know you're feeling scared right now. I hear you on that. But if there's one thing I can promise you, is that this isn't going to last forever. You are going to move through it.
Yes.
And you do have the skills to move through it.
You do. And they're not going to just say, yes, Mom, you are correct.
Exactly.
I will go use these skills now. That's not how it'll happen.
No. And if you have a teen, you're going to get that lovely eye roll. And you don't know anything, Mom.
Or you might get some tantrums and some door slamming. But no, that's all part of the process. They don't mean to be disrespectful. And as long as you can maintain like a cool head, be non-reactive, they're going to come back and be like, okay. Yeah. Like you will be amazed how your kids might come back to you and be like, I'm sorry. I had that reaction if you're able to keep it cool the entire time.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's totally hard. And if you need any support in that, know we got you. Bree and I have you, especially if you come join us in Calm and Happy Parenting.
Yes.
Which is this week. It's this week you get it. And Balance, which is our VIP coaching program for moms.
Which you can only get into after you've taken Calm and Happy Parenting.
Yes. Or you can get into it at the same time you enroll in Calm and Happy Parenting.
Well, yes.
Which is really the best way.
That's the only secret code to get into Balance.
Yes.
It's like the password.
Yes.
Or the secret handshake.
Yes. So make sure to check out that link in the show notes. We desperately want to hang out with you more. Like desperately. And like you just see me and Bree all the time.
I know, right? It's just we're just a fun bunch of gals.
We are. We are. So know that all of these things to build strong kids and emotionally resilient kids, they go for you too, Mama. Like letting yourself fail, not being hard on yourself, letting yourself practice problem solving without the judgment that thinking that you need to know every right answer right away. Like give yourself that time and then recognize your own feelings. Know when you're sad, know when you're upset, and give yourself that space to deal with your own emotions instead of trying to cover them up and just be happy for everyone else.
I wish everybody could see my head over here. I'm like a bobblehead because I'm shaking my head yes to everything you're saying so strongly.
But we need to hear it as moms because so much we're told like, hey, you should do this for your kids. But oh my gosh, it starts with you. Just like it starts with me and Bree with our own children. And we're total works in progress all the frickin' time.
Yes, but when you see those successes, those wins, they are phenomenal. And they are there. You can get to them. We promise you.
Yep. So until next time, remember, the best mom's a happy mom. Take care of you. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks for stopping by. Are you looking for something to listen to with your whole family? Then check out 6 Minutes, produced and created by Gen Z Media. With over 200 twisty, cliffhanger-filled episodes, 6 Minutes tells the story of 11-year-old Holiday who was pulled from the icy waters with no memory of who she is or where she came from.
3 years ago, Brinley Pasternak helped the Anders family uncover the truth about Holiday's past. Now she'll need them to help her find the truth about hers. In 6 Minutes Out of Time, the long-awaited sequel, Cyrus Anders is found unconscious near the mysterious Elixir Academy in Florida, and Brinley learns the school may have a shocking connection to her missing mother.
Dive in now and get the most downloaded family audio adventure in history. Follow 6 Minutes wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen early and ad-free with the GZM family subscription.